I was just mentioning to Shirley that I don't think I've seen that many Timbits consumed in such a short amount of time in my life, so it was a learning experience for me, so I want to thank you all for that. We're rolling right along. Everybody doing okay so far? Everybody doing all right? You have enough Timbits, I'm sure, but everybody feeling okay? How about the top? You all right? I'm getting thumbs up there. Yay for the top row. It's only fitting that Jesse speak next, particularly because you've just come from a breakout room where you, I believe, did an exercise on experiencing empathy. Am I right? Did you do that exercise? Mm-hmm. People were whispering into other people's ears? That kind of thing? Good. It's nice to know the coalition members are sticking with the agenda.
Only for the morning.
Some stuff's out of my control, right? We go to that room. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. But apparently everybody did that exercise, so that's a good thing. Jesse has, this is his 4th summit. Speaking York Region Summits, featured on all sorts of TV shows and Globe and Mail newspaper articles, and just tells a wonderful story of recovery and hope, which is what we want to deliver today, a message of hope and recovery. So without further ado, I would like you to welcome Jesse.
So, good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Good, good. So as Bob said, my name's Jesse. In my life I've dealt with addiction, alcoholism, anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder. But what I'm going to talk to you today about is schizophrenia. Ooh, schizophrenia.
Spooky.
This word used to send chills up my spine until I started saying schizophrenia at least 5 to 6 times a day. So it didn't send a shiver up my spine anymore. I was diagnosed with schizophrenia in 1999, and this was around the same time I was graduating high school. I barely graduated. My marks were horrible. But I did scrape through with 50s or slightly over 50. Now, before schizophrenia, I was quote-unquote a normal kid. Had a normal bringing up. I was into a lot of different sports. I was a singer in a couple of different rock bands. I had a lot of girlfriends.
Still there.
In 9 and 10, I had great grades, so things were good. So I guess around grade 11 is when things started to slip. I started to do a lot of street drugs. So I was smoking weed every day, several times a day. I was into magic mushrooms, acid, speed, cocaine, ecstasy, a lot of different stuff. So when my symptoms came on, my symptoms of schizophrenia came on, I was misdiagnosed with having drug-induced psychosis. But guess what I did? I got off all of the drugs, and for several months I was clean from the drugs, no alcohol, no meat, no caffeine, taking care of my body, and my symptoms still persisted. So my illness is very religious, even though I wasn't raised religiously. In fact, I hadn't set foot in a church until I became psychotic, go figure. And I remember one day, I went into an Anglican church, huge cathedral, and I said, I have to be baptized today. And the priest said, I think, you should think about this one. And if you still want to do it in a couple of months, then we'll do it then. So I never went back. So as I said, so schizophrenia for me is very religious. It didn't come on overnight. It wasn't an overnight process. It was a gradual process. When you first started exhibiting symptoms that could be the beginning of schizophrenia, you go through it's called the prodromal stage. But the prodromal stage is very similar to what people at that age are going through. Maybe isolating, marks are not good, getting in fights. That doesn't necessarily mean you have schizophrenia, but that was the beginning for me. I remember paranoia was a thing that happened with me, right? So if I was in the schoolyard, and there'd be a group of students over here talking and laughing, I believe they were laughing at me. So, but it spiraled into something a lot worse, and I became psychotic, okay? Or having psychosis, which means a break from reality in your mind, right? You're creating something different in your mind that only you experience. So, I began to believe I was a prophet, and I started hearing voices, right? So the best way I can explain to you what it's like to hear voices is that I have my regular thought process in my mind, right? Which is hearing my own voice. So we all have that. We hear our own voices when we're thinking. So I have that. But on top of that, when I became psychotic, on the left side, I heard a very commanding, destructive male voice that I believe was the devil. And on the right side, I heard a very calming, soothing female voice that I believe was the Virgin Mary. So I would hear these voices, and I live in Toronto, and I take the train. If I was on the train, I would look at somebody, and it's as if I could hear their thoughts in my mind. And I believe it was the devil taking their thoughts and putting it in my mind. One time, I heard in my mind, kill all these people and then kill yourself. So that was very, very scary.